Okay. Thanks, Pete.
Very much.
So this is a slightly more unusual topic, but it is very technical in just a different way, and it does cover a lot of security things. So I hope you enjoy it, and it helps you think about things in a slightly different way. This is all of my details. They're on the last slide as well, so no one cares. What is psychological safety? First of all, you probably hear it a lot in like HR training, and no one really pays any attention because we're all cool in security and we like everyone, right? The amazing Amy Edmondson has a wonderful book called The Fearless Organisation. It's been out for quite a few years now, and I highly recommend, if you haven't read it, go read it. And this is how she defines psychological safety. The belief that the work environment is safe for interpersonal risk-taking. Now, we work in security. We know what risk-taking is. Do we know what interpersonal risk-taking is, though? We're security. What does it mean? It means that you have trust and respect, not just between the co-workers that you work with on a daily basis, but with other people in the environment. So, for example, those people working in HR, those people working in R&D, those people working in comms, in the areas of distribution, if you're manufacturing, or the people that work the robots. It's between everybody, not just the people that you work closely with. Now, most of the things that you hear about psychological safety really focuses just on the team that you're in. It's done as like a leadership thing, so people who work for you feel comfortable talking to you, and your boss feels comfortable talking to you. But I'm talking about it organisation-wide. We're talking about a culture here that spans an entire organisation. And it means that people are empowered to speak up and be heard. That's the really important bit. Not just speaking up and then people saying, shush, don't talk now is not your time. Or saying, sure, whatever, finish it, yeah, we're carrying on as is. People listen to you. People go, that's a little bit of a different take on this. That's a different perspective. We hadn't thought that through. We hadn't thought that's a really worrying aspect of this idea that we had. Thank you for sharing that. And then the ability to sit back and go, maybe we should change what we're doing. And that person that speaks up hasn't been yelled at. They haven't been belittled. They haven't been told off. They haven't been fired, for those of us that work with American companies. They have no fear of raising different views, of challenging people's attitudes, challenging their behaviours, and asking for feedback and getting real feedback. I'm sure there's quite a few people in here who have asked for feedback from someone and they've said, yeah, it looks great. And then you've gone on and it's actually really bad, because that person's too afraid of all the myriad things that could go wrong if they gave you real feedback, right? And when we're talking about security, we need to be able to say no. And I know we don't like saying no because we don't want to be seen to be blocking, but there are ways in which we say, hey, that's probably not the best way to do it. Should we try doing this? And the people that you're working with going, okay, yeah, that's a valid reason for security purposes or for privacy purposes. Yeah, okay, we'll do it differently. As opposed to you being so afraid of you saying no that the entire organisation is going to come down on security and say, you can't say no, it must happen. Even if it's accidentally breaking the law because they don't know, right? So it's being able to feel safe in your space across the organisation to say the things that you need to say or that you feel you should say, even if you know it's not necessarily going to change anything, but you want to have said it, Site safety, for example, construction sites. If you see someone not wearing a hat, most construction sites have a safe space now where you can say, hey, you need to wear your hat because you could die, And they've worked for decades to get people to a place where they feel comfortable saying, hey, you haven't got your high vis on, can you put your high vis on? Or, hey, you can't put that there because it's dangerous. You need to put something like around it, or you need to put your flags out or your cones out. You can't just put it there. And that didn't used to be the case. Think of all of the air crash stuff over the years where people have said, hey, I don't think that's safe. I think we should delay the production of this new door, And we've seen it with all the Boeing stuff recently when they got bought out, and the safety has been slowly being eroded because the psychological safe space is no longer there. When people speak up, they get fired, right? So are people going to speak up? No. You see it in hospitals where a doctor may be going around really, really busy and they may have forgotten to do a medication, and a nurse will say, hey, should we just put that medication on? Because that's normally what we do. Without them worrying that the doctor is going to come and yell at them and say, how dare you challenge my authority? They're going to go, oh, great catch. Fantastic job. Well done. Yeah? These places where you have life and death scenarios. I've worked in an industry where if you make a mistake, something could die. And if you go, oh, oh, we shouldn't have done that. Can we go fix it? They're like, oh, great catch. Well done. Yeah. Because you're in a psychologically safe space where challenging and suggesting is recognized and rewarded and encouraged because there is no negative response to it. Doesn't necessarily always mean that what you suggest happens or that your suggestion is a good suggestion, but it means that you are able to be heard without fear of reprisal. And it means that you can challenge bad behaviors, you can challenge bad actions. If you see somebody being racist, you feel comfortable to say, hey, that is not okay. We do not say that. Ever. Don't do it. Without the fear that that person's going to come back at you, whether that's a senior person, whether that's a junior person. If you see misogyny, that you feel comfortable to call it out, right? There's no negative repercussions. There should not be negative repercussions. If there are negative repercussions, it's not a psychological safe space. And again, I'm just bringing this is an organizational culture type of safe space that I'm talking about. And these are just really easy examples for us to hone in on before I start moving us into the security arena. It's that power to say, no, I think that's a bad idea. Or no, I think that's unsafe. And failure is not bad. Failure is an opportunity to learn. If you try something and it doesn't work, you go, it didn't work. Or we learned stuff. No, that's okay, right? And people go, yeah, no worries, crack on. Because you give people the opportunity to fail, you have much more innovative ideas. People grow better. People learn better. We're going to dive into semiotics, and people are thinking, why? Really, really important, because a huge amount of what creates psychological safe spaces is the language that we use, the imagery that we use, the facial expressions, and the way we build people into our groups. And that is semiotics. Semiotics is the study of signs. And by signs, I mean pretty much everything. The things that we see, like a road sign, but also the language that we use, the words we use. The alphabet is a sign. Pictures are signs. Everything that we see and we hear and we smell is all signs when we're talking about semiotics. We have the sign, we have the signifier, and we have the signified. So we see the sign and it signifies a thing. It is a signifier of a concept. And the signified thing is what we get to. So if I show you a picture of a cat, that's the sign. The cat image itself is the signifier, and then it takes us through and we see a cat in our head. We know it's a cat even if it's a one-line drawing. This is the fun thing that we always see when we're doing semiotics, which is it's not a pipe. This is not a drawing of a pipe. This is not a pipe. Is it a pipe? I mean, it looks like a pipe, but it's not really a pipe because it's a picture of a pipe. At what point does the picture of a pipe become a pipe and not an actual pipe? Is it only a pipe if it's real? And it all goes back to Plato's idea of one real thing and then copies in reality. But the sign is that linguistic unit. So if I say cat, you know what that is because you've learnt that the word cat means the animal cat. And that signifier is the word sign and the symbol that points to it. So that's the image of the cat that I talked about and the concept in your head. And a fun thing for you to do now, anyone that speaks 2 languages, think of cat in English and imagine the cat. And now think the word cat in your other language. Do your cats match? Or are they 2 different cats? Because depending on how you learnt your second language, your French cat might be a black and white cat that you saw on a flashcard and it's not a cat at all. It's a fun one to do. It works. And how you learn languages, you attach different mental concepts to it. And that conceptual landscape varies over time, right? So over your time as you age and as the world ages, the things that we say mean different things, which is why certain words change meaning over time as the culture changes. But it also means that the word orange didn't used to exist. It was just red, yellow. And then all of a sudden the word orange existed. And if you go back to things like the Iliad and the Odyssey, there is no blue. So all the sea is green because blue wasn't a conceptual word at that point. So we build things into our linguistics as we go. And words have meanings. And some of us, like me, are very pedantic about using the right word in the right place because they have very poignant meanings, very effective meanings, depending on what word you use it in and what context. Here in security, we have lots of words that have different meanings to what the general population thinks they mean, right? So that's what the word relational is on. We have subcultures. If I say bus, I mean a bus that has wheels and I can get on it and it's public transport. If I'm in networking and I say bus, that is not what I mean, right? If I say fishing, I'm going out and I'm catching fish, right? If I say fishing in a security context, it's spelt differently, it sounds the same, but it means something else entirely. So a big problem with security is we co-opt a lot of normal linguistic words and give them other meanings, then get mad that other people don't know what they mean, right? Is that psychological safe space? No, it is not. So this is a little example of how semiotics works. Audience participation time. What is this? Can anyone tell me? Timer. Yeah, timer. Is this fast or short time? What would you use this timer for? Yeah. It's a stopwatch, right? We're probably timing maybe a minute or 5 minutes here. Is it the progression of time as well? We can see that the filled in orange chunks mean more time has passed, right? And what about this? Time is passing, right? Because of the little animation that it does, the clock wipe, as it's called, because it's the clock. We know by that this means time is passing. We use this in TV and film, where you see the montages going. We know that means passing of time. What about this one?
Countdown timer.
Yeah. Is this the same or different time than the stopwatch?
I would see it differently, isn't it?
It's different time, right? So you're immediately able to, from these very basic icons, identify that not only are these icons giving you time as the end of your signified, but they're different types of time, right? This could tell you board game timer, or this could be like life and death, an hourglass, death's hourglass, could be cooking, whereas the other one is more attributed to things like sport, right? It's fast time. This is more sort of captured time. This is counting you down your time, right? It's all time, but it's different time. And that's how clever our brains are, and that's how semiotics works, is the study of how your brain does this. This is the hardest bit of the talk, I promise. It gets easier from here on out. If you type hacker or cyber attack into, for example, I used Unsplash because I like Unsplash, this is what you get. It's men in hoodies. It's not very friendly. How many hackers do you know who are just men in hoodies that sit there like that over a laptop?
There's a black hoodie as well.
Yeah, and the scary mask. I really love the scary mask. It's not even the anonymous mask anymore. It's just weird, scary masks. I was on a call the other day and someone said that all hackers have mansions and yachts because they're all financially motivated. So they want to buy mansions and yachts. And I was like, I don't know a single hacker that has a yacht. And I feel like we should talk to our union rep and get us all yachts, right? And it's the perception within and without all of who we're talking to, what they see us as, and what we like to be perceived as, right? How many of us wear lots of hoodies at work because hoodies are comfy, and that we're allowed to wear hoodies because our teams are chill, and they're friendly, and they have good psychological safe spaces, so we can wear what's comfortable to do our work. And now everyone thinks that hoodies were teenage hoodlums, then they were football hoodlums, and now they're hackers. Right? So that the public consciousness, and those are the other people in our organisation we work with, they think of this when you say cyber attack, when you say hacker. And obviously everyone here laughed because we all know that's not true, right? But they all think that's true. So we have some cognitive dissonance here between what security thinks is real and knows is real versus what the public consciousness of the staff and the rest of your organisation think. And the media doesn't really help with the perpetuation of that, but it's a shortcut, right? If a normal person who doesn't work in security sees that, they go, oh, bad guy. I know what that means. So they'll keep using it because of the semiotic shorthand, because it's much harder to say this person in a business suit or this person with this massive thing that no one knows what it is unless you work in security, they're the person hacking you. Or it's this 25 people in a call centre, they're all the people who are attacking you. It's much harder to get people to understand that because there's a lot more work involved, even if we know it's true. And we can apply semiotics literally everywhere, but my main things to focus on are visual, the things that we see, the pictures we share, the icons we use, linguistic, the language we use. How many of us call our staff repeat offenders when we give them really bad training? We're calling them criminals. Are they criminals? They're not criminals. How many of us say that the users are really stupid and that they should never have done that? They should know not to download stuff off the internet. They're idiots. We do that a lot. I personally don't because I fight against it, but it's ingrained in security that that's okay to do, and that's good language to use for people. It's not, we'll get on to that. Olfactory, things you smell. A lot of us probably go near computers and we smell the nice burny electronics like, oh, that's good. You know, things that you hear. How frequently are people hearing you making derogatory comments about them or using language in a way that you know they don't understand to make you feel smart, right? How many people have gone to learn a new hobby or learn a new sport and you have no idea what they're saying because all the language they're using is super niche and custom? They welcome you in and they explain it. Do we do that? No, we like feeling special. And it deconstructs the signifiers of culture. Where you are in the world and what culture you're in, they have different associations. We mentioned the bus earlier. For the network bus is different to a public transport bus, but that changes depending on your gender, where you live, the culture you grew up in, the languages you speak, the places that you work, the industries you work. Those are all cultures that affect how you see and perceive things. People who are subject to more things like racism or genderism or just sort of anything that works against you as a minority or a prejudiced thing, you are more aware of it because you see it more and it affects you more. And those of us who are more privileged, we don't see it because it's effort and we don't like doing it because it makes us uncomfortable. And there's a really important significance that is gained as soon as you start doing that. You can make a really big difference to people. Because if you understand the cultural context and the cultural conventions, and you understand that red in the West is bad, but red in Asia is good and good luck and promising, and if all of your training says red is bad, you're confusing a whole half, if not more, of the world simply because you can't be bothered to make two different versions with two different colours, right? And it's how people make sense of the world. And if you are actively stopping people from making sense of the world because you like to feel smart, that's not nice. No one's going to want to work with you. They're not going to want to be collaborating with you as a security team. And also, just a fun fact, it's how advertising works. It's how it makes you want to buy things. And some advertising campaigns are significantly more successful than others. If I say, just do it, you know exactly what brand I'm talking about. Great semiotics. So, what about security? We've touched on it a little bit. We are really bad at making security a psychological safe space for non-security people. I'm not going to touch on the internal security stuff too much because, like all places and industries, there are problems, but I'm talking about the problem with organizations not wanting to work with us. Because security causes harm a lot of the time in the actions that we make and the words that we use and the behaviors that we perpetuate. Some of it's unintentional harm, some of it is very intentional harm. Every time you set up something like a phishing simulation that's really, really cruel, is not good because you're purposefully tricking somebody knowing they're going to fall for it so that you can yell at them and you can tell them that they're stupid and you can tell them that you are superior. And that is fairly intentional harm. I have other talks on that if you want them, they're on my website. We can create really bad environmental harm. How many of us have got really high friction security ways of getting into things? How many people have 7 steps to change your password or 7 steps to log into a new device because it's more secure? Yes, it's more secure, but is it easy to do? Are you alienating your users by making the security so impossible to do that they're just not going to do it? And then you're getting mad at them for not doing it. We have lots of bias in security towards different variations of things. You see this a lot in physical security where a lot of the scanners only work if you're white, but they get door scanners that go on veins in your wrist. Doesn't work on anyone who's not white. That's not okay. And we have microaggressions. I mentioned before calling people offenders and repeat offenders, and we say they're stupid, and we do that within our teams. The end users may not hear, but they probably will hear because of the way in which you speak to them in your emails or your calls or your Slack messages or your Teams messages. The tone that you use creates microaggressions. And we're really aware of microaggressions when it comes to things like misogyny, misandry, and racism. But we're much less aware when it's things that we're calling people criminals. It's like, they're not criminals. You know, if I've used to work in prisons and probation and the Ministry of Justice and stuff. If you say someone's a repeat offender, that's a very specific meaning of somebody who's actually in that prison right now, or someone who's out on probation. Why are we calling our staff that? You know, none of them are criminals. They've just failed bad training that they were never going to succeed at in the first place. We have quite overt aggressions in security. We often tell people that they are silly and that they should know better. Has anyone ever tried telling them in an easy to understand way why they shouldn't be doing something, or making that high friction security I mentioned, gone, maybe they're doing that because it's too difficult. How can we make it easier? Can I make that really heavy door into the secure vault an automatic door, so that once they've swiped their credentials, it opens for them. And then no one's going to prop it open. Because if they're carrying stuff, and that door is really heavy, and they've got lots of stuff to shuffle, are they going to prop it open? 100% of the time, they're going to prop it open. Are we going, you're an idiot? Or are we going, hey, we can fix that. Still secure, we can put it on a timer, we can give it a door assist. But we're making security accessible for people, and we're making it accessible for everybody. We're making it accessible and nice, and we're not telling people to their face that that they are stupid because we can't be bothered to put more effort into making it a better piece of security. How many people have got a really nice phishing button that they've trained their people how to use, and then have a really nice job? How many of you then have a really nice template that says, great job, we really appreciate the work that you've done in reporting this phishing simulation? That's 2 people. That's 2. It should be everybody, right? How many of you have really nice templates for your socks that have been made by people like me, or you've pulled in someone from comms, or you've pulled in someone with skills and those soft skills to say, hey, whenever we get this kind of alert, this is the way we're going to ask them. Because we see that scary alert every single day. Every single day. To us, it's not scary. We know it's not scary. That person, this is probably the first time they've ever seen you go, hey, we saw an unusual login from your device. Is it you? Are you on holiday? Have you taken your work laptop on holiday? Yeah? Yeah, we're coming for you. We're stalking you. We're watching you. Right? That person's probably absolutely terrified. Because they're at a conference. They're supposed to take their work laptop. They're doing their job. Why are you making me feel like I've done something really bad? Have I done something bad? I don't know. I thought people knew I was here at a work conference, right? You could very easily say, hey, we get these alerts quite often. Usually it's if someone's gone on holiday or they're at a conference and we just want to confirm that it is you. And if it's not you, then we're going to sort it out for you, right? That person goes, oh, they're helping me. They're not like stalking me. They're not big brothering me. They're here to help, right? We have a horrible way of lacking empathy and simultaneously liking to feel superior. Sweeping generalizations, I apologize. Insecurity, and it is a problem because it makes us aggressive even if we don't think it's aggressive, because we're not thinking from the other person's point of view. We aren't going, hey, you just broke a privacy thing. You're an idiot. I hate you. This is so much work for us to fix. We're going to have to report this. I can't believe you did that. Did they know? Had you done work with those project teams to know that if they're doing anything with this kind of data, they need to work with your security and privacy teams? Have you got really easy user guides on how to do it, when to do it, what counts? You go, hey, we see you're doing this. We can help. And then you won't break any privacy things and we won't have to report anything. And that's good for everyone, right? It's the way in which we do things. As security, we sit here in our little tower and go, you're all stupid and we are God. And everyone's like, yeah, we're great, right? Oh, I saw what you did with that thing over there. That was really cool. I really like that. You should do that at a conference. That's great. That user, did you see they just downloaded a template off the internet? What idiots. That kind of thing, really not good. We all started somewhere. They're still at the basics. If anyone asked you to sort out your PAYE, could you do it? No. I couldn't. Definitely couldn't. I can barely manage, doing my own accounts when I was self-employed. It's hard. But there's a whole group of people called accountants. That's really easy for them. And they don't come across telling you you're stupid because you made a mistake in your accounts, right? They're like, oh, no worries. Really easy to do, It's really complicated. Or your tax stuff or law things. They come across, they're smart people. We're smart people. They're just much nicer about it. We really like scare tactics. We really love scare tactics in security. We love telling people the world is going to end if they do something. If someone downloads a template off the internet, you probably do have a bunch of stuff that goes, hey, there's a malicious file, we quarantined it, we're all good. And yet you still feel the need to tell them they could have destroyed the company. That's not good. They feel bad. They're never going to talk to you again. They're going to try and work out how you found it and do a different way so that you can't see it. We use really negative language. We've talked about the repeat offenders already, but the way we call people stupid, and we have all of the problem is, between the computer and the C, all of the acronyms we have for calling people stupid without saying they're stupid outright and then thinking we're smart, but no one can work out acronyms. They're not good. We love sharing war stories, and there are places for war stories, but those places aren't telling people, I did this really cool thing and the whole thing went and exploded, and you shouldn't do it because, I did a thing in a virtual environment that I disengaged this control so I could do it. Great talking about Stuxnet. How is that going to impact most people's lives? It's not relevant. We've got loads of ransomware war stories. Most people, at the end of the day, sitting at their desk, doing their job, is there anything they can do about it? No. Is it useful to scare the hell out of them? No. If you scare them and you make it seem like you are people who are capable of doing those scary things, are they going to want to come and talk to you? No. And we have really negative interactions. If you deal with research and development teams, or you deal with logistics companies, or your manufacturing and distribution, anywhere where you have a direct sort of project work with these teams, the interactions get really negative really quickly because they're doing really stupid stuff. If they knew anything about security, they wouldn't do it. It's like, okay, let's unpack that a bit. Do they know anything about security? No. Is it their job? No. Do you know something about security? Yes. Is it your job? Yes. Can we work together in a really nice way? And security go, no. I'm not going to do it. It's like, why? It's going to involve talking to people. And we, as an industry, have a really, really, even worse than the tech bros, the security tech bros, don't talk to anyone. Because don't have to. I just do my stuff on my computer and I don't have any user interaction. Right? And then everyone else goes, yeah, but they're really bad at talking to users, so that's fine. You do realise that there are hundreds of qualifications out there in soft skills for communications people, for people in HR, for people in public relations, for people in advertising on how to communicate better, how to get people on your side, how to do well in difficult scenarios and situations, how to deal with hostage negotiation in high pressure scenarios, how to do high pressure negotiation in procurement and stuff. There's lots of qualifications out there, and yet security it's not security certification. I don't need it. And then continue to have really bad negative interactions, and then wonder why 2 years later those teams don't talk to you at all. Oh, they're probably fine. They don't do anything. And then a year later something goes boom and you go, oh, why didn't they talk to us? We would have told them that was really bad. It's like, yeah, that's why they didn't talk to you. Can we see what's happening here? We have lots of coded language. And I spoke about this throughout this to get it going. But we use lots of language that's really difficult to understand. Because security, much like when you play Dungeons and Dragons, is a very specialised area with a lot of very specific words that mean very specific things, and lots of very technical sets of things that require very specific knowledge. Much like if I was to show you a page with an editor drawing all of the symbols, you would have no idea what it meant unless you have been trained in publishing as an editor. That's what security looks like to everybody else. And we make very little effort to make it easy to understand for people. To, instead of giving them a 5-page technical blob, say, hey, this is the thing, and this is a fixie thing you can do, and then this is the solution. And people go, oh, I understand that, that's great. We don't need all of the background. We love showing off all of our knowledge. We don't need to do that. We can just say, hey, I see your problem. I have a fix, and this is what we need to do it, and make it as easy to understand as possible. People love it. People appreciate it. People will want to come back and work with you. And we use a lot of negative reinforcement. I do a lot of talks on security awareness, training, education, where most of it's not actual training. It's not very good, and people love negative reinforcement, where you just yell at people for getting stuff wrong and not actually training them. But again, we have that reinforcement in how if someone reports an incident, instead of saying, thank you so much for reporting that incident, we're going to look into it, and we might get in contact to get more information, we go, I can't believe that happened. You were so stupid, how could you let that happen? Or if they lost sensitive documents, didn't you know, you're not supposed to, you should always keep them with you all times. Or someone had their laptop stolen, I can't believe you get on a train and let someone steal your laptop. Right? No one gets on a train and purposely has someone steal their stuff. Right? Most of the time, if it's a work thing, much like in businesses, where they say if someone comes in to rob the thing, the till, that's the word, rob the till, they're like, just let them take it because we don't want you to die. Right? And whereas we're here saying, oh, that was really important, it's not like we can just remotely kill the laptop and wipe everything off it at the press of a button. We have to make you feel bad about it. We should be saying, oh, thanks so much for letting us know. We can sort that out really quickly. And the fact that you told us immediately, great, they're not going to get anything. Well done. Reward people. They're going to go, oh, what a great interaction. If I see something else, I might report that as well. And the more you have those positive interactions, the better you have. The more you have those negative interactions, the more you undermine not just the security team, but the security of your whole organisation. Because if half of the organisation won't talk to you, won't engage, won't collaborate, and won't tell you if something goes wrong, how is your security good? Just because you aren't seeing it doesn't mean it's not happening. And security for years and years and years has been digging itself into this hole where if we can't see it, it's not happening, everyone else is stupid, we're great, we don't need to put any effort into fixing any of that, into creating a psychological safe space, so when someone says security, they think, oh, those people that are there to help me. They keep me safe, they keep my company safe, they keep everything secure, they are there to help us. Rather than going, security, they're those really horrible people that I don't like talking to because they make me feel bad. And every time I've ever interacted with them, I feel stupid, and they yell at me. I don't want anything to do with them. So this horrible incident, I'm just not going to say anything. Just pretend it hasn't happened. If I can't see it, no one knows, right? And we reinforce those negative stereotypes every single time we do it. Every single time someone in your team does it, and every single time you do not call out someone in your team doing that, you are reinforcing that that is the correct behaviour. We don't build those soft skills because as an industry we don't appreciate them. We don't give them value. If people started giving value to those communication certificates that say, hey, this person's really good at talking to people, this person's really good at presenting things in a clear and concise manner, if we start valuing them, are people going to go and get those certifications? Of course they are. Security is a horde of people that love shiny certifications, right? Just put value on them and they're going to go and do them. We don't use very nice language. We alienate people with those coded languages, those highly technical languages, with the negative words that we use without calling ourselves to account and saying, hey, we shouldn't be calling them offenders or repeat offenders or idiots. They're just people. Have we given them enough to succeed? Have we made a mistake? Could we make that door easier to open and not leave propped open and then automatically shut behind someone so they can't make the mistake of leaving it open, right? And it all feeds back into this superiority complex. And the more superior we feel, the more we undermine the concept of security. Because not only do the organisation not want to work with you, but I'm sure you all know someone who you go, oh, that arrogant guy, I don't really like having stuff with him. We go, oh, it's that person on that meeting, I really don't want to go, I'm going to have my camera off. Or we go, oh, I was going to go to the pub, but I don't like that guy's friend, and he's going to be like, I'm just not going to go. Right? That is the person that we are as security to everybody else, and we need to fix that. We love leaning into the mysterious. This comes back to like the hoodie, the secret dude in a mask, doing all the cool things. People love Angus. People love Angus. Angus is our security mascot. He's cow. He's wonderful. He has his own mailbox. People love asking silly questions to Angus because I tell them that even if it's a silly question, Angus loves answering it. Right? And Angus is friendly and lovely and has a little picture in his email signature. People love talking to Angus, right? Angus is security. Oh, I love those. They're the really good training. Yeah, I'll talk to security, right? You can tell who has done an Angus training and who has not done an Angus training, right? Because they feel safe to ask a cow questions, right? That's where we all need to be. And if your staff won't collaborate with you and they won't work with you and they won't talk with you, then you need to do something about it instead of going, oh, they won't talk to us. And it just leads to loads of unreported incidents. I've got loads of stats from lots of different places where as soon as you make it a psychological safe space, people report more. And you've got to go, this isn't more incidents are happening, this is we find out about all of the incidents that have been happening and no one's been telling us about, right? There's a difference. If you know about it, you can fix it. And you now know about it. We can fix it. Stop using horrible language. Call it out. If someone says repeat offender, say, hey, no, we don't say that here. That's not an acceptable phrase that we use. Whenever you see someone in your socks saying that person's an idiot, no, they're not an idiot. They've made a mistake. They didn't know any better. They're new. They are not us. We think that's easy. That's not easy for them. They are not us. They are not security. Call it out. Challenge people on your team when you hear them using the bad language. Tell them it's not okay. Give them an alternative. Tell them to change how they think about the people they interact with, because that builds empathy. We sit on a side of a computer and people sit on the other side of their computer. Really hard to have empathy when you can't see someone. If you see someone on the floor in front of you in agony, you have empathy. If someone is doing that and you can't see them, much harder to have empathy. So you have to work hard and build the empathy. And as soon as you start putting that as a priority in people like the SOC teams or the people that work with your developers and say, hey, have empathy with them. They have tight project deadlines. They have annoying things in their life that they can't deal with. They probably have annoying people that they work with every day that are pushing them to go harder. Maybe they're understaffed. They are trying to do their best. Don't make their day any worse. Be there. Support them. Help them. Security is here to keep people safe, to keep people secure, in order to keep the companies and the organizations and the data and the products they make safe and secure. The people are the ones that do all of the things. No one would have any of the products, any of the data. The organization wouldn't exist if it didn't have all of those staff members working tirelessly, even if it's just for the money, every day. We should be there to be like, we're supporting, we're helping. We're helping you. We're supporting you. We are here for you. If you need us, tell us. We will come flying to your aid on the back of a dragon and fix it, if we can. And if not, we'll find someone else to fix it, right? Because that is empathy, and that is support, and that is how you create a psychological safe space across your organization. To say, hey, we're here and we're going to help. We're not going to yell at you. We're not going to call you stupid. We're not going to call you repeat offenders. We're going to challenge every single microaggression that we see in our team to stop that from coming to your team. So whenever you feel like maybe you should be making a template for people so that everyone has the same tonal response to the same alerts, do it. Get it checked over by someone from comms if you don't have a specialist. And say, hey, we're trying to give this tone and this information. Does it do that? They have huge numbers of qualifications, professional comms people, they're great. And you can say, can you look over it? They'll go, oh yeah, maybe change this, maybe phrase this a little bit differently. Have you seen our style guide? Our style guide has lots of tips on how to write stuff and how to format things. You can do that, and it makes a really big difference. It makes such a difference if, when you're investigating an alert, the person is on your side and willing to help, rather than you pestering them and trying to fight them for information. If they feel like you're helping them, they're going to give you everything you want. If they feel like you're attacking them, they are going to shut down and they're going to lie because they think they're in trouble. Even if we know they're not in trouble, we're just trying to find out if, the computer's in America and it's supposed to be in the UK. I'm at a conference. Okay, cool, great. No worries. That person doesn't know that we have stuff that automatically flags on the devices, right? They think you're there staring, watching them, because that's what people see on the computers, on the TVs, in the films, where they go, I'm in. We need empathy. And if we can change the way we react to people, and we can improve the way we react to people and make it positive and inclusive and friendly, people react differently. And people feel comfortable and they feel safe. And if we change those templates from being 3 words really aggressive into sort of a little paragraph of, hey, it's all good, we're fine, just checking. You're good? Great. And if you're not good, we'll fix it. It's good. People feel much, much happier that the security team are there to help them and that they're not stalking them and trying to find a way to get them fired. Offer post-incident support. If somebody is part of an incident, why doesn't someone on your team go and set up something with them afterwards and say, hey, we see you've been a victim to this, we fixed it all, do you need anything from us? Would you like us to give you some extra training? Would you like some extra support? Feel free to send anything you're worried about to us. We're here if you need to talk. We've got these support systems, usually HR have a lot of employee support things. Tell them about them. Say, hey, if you want to talk to someone, we've got a free counselling service through our HR team. They're here for you. Make better training, not just for your end users, but for the teams that you work with and for your actual team. Put value on those shiny comms certificates. Put value on people having better empathy and soft skills. And give actual training. If you're going to do awareness and education, make actual training, not just like yelly things. Again, if you want more, I've got more talks on that. But give people actual training so that instead of going, oh, why didn't they know? You can say, oh, our training must need updating. Because they have done the training and obviously hasn't worked. We need to fix that. And hold your security teams accountable for being horrible to people and for using negative language and for not making the effort to improve their communication skills. Because it is not hard, and there is lots of support out there for them to do it. It is on those of you that work in teams and that manage people and that run systems to say it's important and to say, hey, I asked you last year to improve the way that you speak and the tone that you use when you're talking to developers. Why are we still having the same problem of you making them upset? You know, there's a problem here. Fix it. And then listen to people. If you listen to people, you can find new solutions. Go back into that door example. Why is that person propping that security door open? What is the problem there with your security? How can you make it better? How can you help them? Because the more people see you doing that, the more people will come and say, hey, I think this is really frustrating for us as a team on the security side. Is there any way you think maybe we could change it? Here's our use case. Can we change it? Can we make it better? And you can't always say yes. Sometimes it's just the security is annoying and high friction and there's nothing anyone can do about it. But if they know that you've looked and you've tried, they're going to be way happier to say, okay, I feel like you made an effort here and you haven't just shut us down. And you'll probably find a whole bunch of really weird things that you didn't even know was a problem, that in you fixing, you've just made a whole bunch of people's lives way easier. And they're going to say, hey, last time I worked with the security team, they did this and it's great. Fixed it right up. Super fancy. You should go talk to them. That's fantastic. You know, just making the onboarding or offboarding process better. You know, how many people just send someone a laptop? Do they also get sent a little document which explains how to set it up separately? Or who the contacts are if it won't work? Anyone do that? Just me? Think about it. Little things that you can do to help people feel like the security team is there for them. So, if we can make all those changes, stop calling people idiots and repeat offenders, how does that help the organisation? How does it help security? Well, it builds trust, not just between the teammates that you work with, but with the people outside of your team, outside of security. It builds trust in all of those chunks of the organisation that are not security with security. Security is not blocking, they're helping. If we schedule in this much time, they'll get their stuff done and they'll help us out and make it better. Instead of going, oh, I don't like them, I'll just give 1 minute at the end, and then, oh no, we have to make changes, no, you suck, right? Is that because they didn't want to engage with you 3 months ago and they were building it? You know? You get more people reporting things. You get way more reports, and what you get is way more reports as well as near misses. If people know that you like that, and they're going to get a well done for almost but not quite, that's fantastic, here, have a sticker, they're going to do it. And that's great for your reporting stats, and it's great for finding areas of problem in your network, in your infrastructure, and in the way that your security systems are built. You have better collaboration across teams. You have less of that, oh, this team's so annoying to work with, they don't listen to me. And you have better cooperation when you're investigating things that need investigating, because your end users are happy to give you the information and they don't feel like they've been put on the spot and that they're in trouble. They will work with you, they'll interact, they won't cancel that meeting 4 times because they think they're in trouble and you're just trying to find out like where they were. And they go, oh, the security team, they're going to yell at me, I'm going to lose my job, I'm just going to not go to the meeting. Yeah, that's fine, no one's going to notice. You know, whereas it's way easier if they go, oh, great, yeah, cool, yeah, I'll do that. Here's all the information I have. Here's how I booked it. Here's where I was. This is, the hotel I was at. And you're like, that's way too much information, but great, they're giving it to you. If you have better well-being in your staff, if there's better psychological safety, everyone feels better because people work better together. People feel better. People are more encouraged to do their jobs. Psychological safe spaces have got loads of studies that show that people learn better when they feel psychologically safe, and that you grow things better because people ask questions. People ask any question they like. They stop going, I'm going to look stupid if I ask that question. They just ask it. Hence, Angus gets loads of brilliant questions from people. And it works for your team as well, because if they start asking questions or start answering questions that people ask, it unlocks huge areas for you to go, oh, I didn't even know people were having a problem with that. You know, how many people have got biometric systems on their laptops that don't work, so they're having to type in all of their stuff, but they never feel like it's something they need to tell you about, right? You can probably fix that real quick, really easy, right? Very easy fix. But if they don't tell you, how are you supposed to know? So as soon as you start building that collaboration, not only can you grow the products that you're doing and the security systems that you're building, but you grow relationships. And those relationships are really positive, and people collaborate more, and you end up with this wonderful thing where security, instead of being this annoying gremlin at the company that no one wants to work with, becomes a part of everything. And people talk to you early, and they let you know when they have problems. And even if you suggest something that can't be done because it costs too much money, or it's too difficult to implement on the stuff that's already here at our company, or, you know, maybe next year, at least you've suggested it and people have thought about it, and then they've made the decision. If people can't make those suggestions, everything goes horribly wrong. If we go back to those early examples on the construction site and in the hospital, if that person didn't feel comfortable to say, hey, you should be wearing your hard hat, that person is walking around on a building site with no hard hat, and we know people die because stuff falls down on construction sites. And that nurse saying, hey, I think you might have forgotten to assign this medication to that person, they could die if that nurse doesn't feel confident and comfortable and safe to say, hey, I think we forgot something, right? And because we sit with computers, we lose that connection to how this impacts people's lives, and we just need to work a little bit harder together. So thank you. We need to be the change that we want to be in the world, and I say we need to be nicer to people and build the psychological safe space so that instead of digging a hole, we can start filling it in. We can build it up. We can be on the same field as everybody else instead of just mining towards the center of the earth for no apparent reason. And it's small things that you can do, and there's big things that you can do, but just do something, even if it's just stopping calling people repeat offenders. I'll be here all day if anyone wants to chat with me. I have loads of talks on my website. I have annoying ranty articles on LinkedIn and on my website. And I do talks if people want them. But I hope you've enjoyed it and found it useful. Like I said, it is technical. It's just not the sort of technical that you were expecting. Thank you. Yeah.
At what stage would you consider it worth basically firing someone over the amount of mistakes that they make, and we've given someone training? What's the threshold that you would come up with?
That's very dependent on what they're doing. Like, it's very easy to say if someone's being repeatedly racist or misogynistic, the HR team will have a list of things, right? So I'd say work with the HR team to say, hey, here are a set of behaviours that we think are unacceptable. How does that fit in on your matrix? And then that means that you have a really solid system. So if someone repeatedly is doing it, you can say, hey, here's our matrix of unacceptable to acceptable behaviour, and you're here. We need to move you here, or something's going to happen. You'll get a warning, or you'll get assigned to training, or whatever. So it follows the same process as if you see someone making microaggressions. You know, you assume that they just don't know they're making microaggressions, and you give them the training to say, hey, microaggressions are a thing. You should stop doing that. We should be using block list, not blacklist. You know, an allow list, not whitelist. It's really easy to do as soon as you think about it. And it's those sorts of things that if you treat it in the same way, because it's exactly the same thing, you know, you're basically identifying people as criminals when you're calling them repeat offenders for no reason whatsoever, right? So it's a case of working with the people that have those matrices of what is acceptable versus unacceptable and creating something that fits your space. Oh, more questions, yes.
Do you have any, have you thought about, or do you have any tabletop exercises that help solidify these?
Aha! There are lots of tabletop exercises. You'll probably find, weirdly, a lot of them in comms and HR departments and in hostage negotiation departments, where hostage negotiation is very much built on de-escalating and having good, clear communication so that people don't die. So they are around and about. They might not be called tabletops. They'll probably be called hypothetical scenarios. And you get lots like pages and booklets of them. Say, here is a scenario. You are the manager. What would you do? Here is a scenario. You are the employee. What would you do? And you can just sort of swap sets of words out. Especially if you're challenging language, you can put up scenarios where you have someone who's speaking and be like, hey, you missed a chance there to call out this language. Yeah. Yes.
Is there a good way of communicating risk to the end users?
Yes. I have a really fun one. Most people don't know what risk is, or risk appetite, or risk tolerance. If you tell people you have an insurance where if you break a bone, you get money, and you're going to cross the road, and there's a car coming, are you going to cross the road? People probably say yes. What if you don't have insurance and you don't get anything if you break any bones? Are you going to cross the road if the car is coming? They'll be like, no. Okay, what if I tell you you're going to break 2 bones, and you're definitely going to get hit by the car if you cross the road, but you're going to get £100,000? Are you going to cross the road? A lot of them are going to say, yeah. What exactly? I was going to say, what you find is some people will say, which bones? And you will say, you're going to break your arm. A lot of people will say, yes. You're going to break your leg. A lot more people are going to say, no. And those tend to be people that need to do physical things, like they've got kids, or they have partners, or they have animals, and having a broken leg is really difficult. Right? You go, okay, right. This time you're going to break 4 bones, but it's going to be £1 million that you get. Are you going to cross the road? And people kind of go, 4 is quite a lot. Right? And then you see people start doing what you're doing, like, I don't know. Right? And you go, that is risk. Right? You understand that if you get hit by a car, you'll break a bone. That is the risk. And the appetite and the tolerance is how many bones are you willing to break, and how much does the money have to be for you to break them? And that tends to get people on the idea of, I understand what being hit by a car is, and I understand the appetite and the tolerance. Like, I might be happy to get £100,000 for breaking my arm, but not if it's my back.
Guys, we've got a short break now. Do you want to do one last one?
We'll do one last question.
Talk afterwards? Or?
I'll punch you on.
Okay.
Okay, right.
Thank you all so much.
Short break now.